Steve Kim back here at the SNAC headquarters in San Carlos, California. I am joined by the father and trainer of the WBC lightweight champion of the world, Devin Haney, Mr. Bill Haney. Bill, first question. Let's go back several years as your son is a burgeoning young pro coming out of the amateurs. You make the decision to allow your son to train at SNAC with Victor Conte. What went into that decision?
Well, we had the pleasure of coming here with Sean Porter, Sean Porter's dad, Kenny Porter, who invited us up. Devin was working with him. Of course, he was working with him as a young guy, so he was using him more for his speed on the tail end of the sparring sessions and stuff. And he told us to come up north, and it was a pleasure because we're from up north. We're from Oakland, so you know what I mean. It was kind of like a natural fit.
So as you see the apparatus, the modern technology in play, you've been to a lot of gyms, you and your son. Was this eye-opening, this whole experience?
Oh, exactly. Not only just the training aspect, but the recovery aspect as well. It's it's a first-class operation. Vic, he's like a scientist, a body scientist, and Devin has been able to get strong and maintain his strength, and also recover well to have great workouts after.
How educational of a process working with Victor Conte and Remy been for you?
It's been everything. I've learned a lot with Victor, of course, and he's he's always there. He's on the call. You know what I mean? Like I can call him at any time of the night or day and ask him any kind of questions wherever Devin is at in his training process.
Many of the philosophies of Victor and Remy go against the normal. Conventional norms of boxing, such as not doing the long distance running, getting more rest, maybe taking a day off in between Monday through Friday, which is not really normal. What was the biggest thing that they switched that changed your philosophy and your mindset in terms of the way you handle your son?
Well, I think just the speed drills with Remy. We were doing a lot of long distance running, and I think when we hooked up with Remy and Victor, we changed it from the long distance to being more of a sprinter, you know what I mean? And he was able to retain the muscles and keep the muscles at peak performance due to the interval training.
Yeah. The situation with your son, he has developed into one of the best lightweights in the world. And now, I look at him right now, and he is ripped. There's not a lot of fat to cut. It's just hard, lean muscle mass. How much longer do you envision him at 135?
Well, I think he's the best lightweight in the world. To correct you about that, but yes, he's there. He's ready. He's ready to make the big fights happen, and that's what we've been sticking around at 35 for. I think he'll do his equally as well at the 140 once we go up.
Bill, the other question that I think many people have is the situation at 35. There's some really good fighters there, hovering around that area. You have your son, Teofimo Lopez, Tank Davis, and Ryan Garcia. 4 really talented young fighters in the thick of their physical prime. We talked about this earlier on the track. What's it going to take to get all these guys to mix with each other?
Well, I believe that Devin is the best lightweight in the world, and he's there to prove it. He's the one fighter out of all the other 4 that is willing and able to fight all of the fighters in the lightweight division. We have a great partnership with Eddie Hearn, who's given us the ability to make the fights with the fighters, and I don't think that they're ready to get in the ring with them. They're more hesitant than on the camera. They say they want to make the fights happen, but then off the camera, when it comes to negotiate, they're not doing the same thing. It's not one and the same.
What's it going to take, though? Because I do sense, because of Devin's style and skill, that they don't necessarily look at Devin as the easiest style to deal with. That's happened to other fighters in the past. So do you have to shame these guys publicly to bring them inside the ring? What's it going to take to actually get one of those fights for Devin?
Well, I don't think it's going to help by us introducing our training methods with Victor Conte. You know what I mean? But like anything else, if you want to be the best and you want to carry yourself that way, then you want to fight the best. You want to fight the people. You want to fight the fight that the people want to see, and not the fight that you're just imagining that's there for you. All of those fighters, I think, are especially at the stage of their careers and profile alike, that they're able to make these fights happen. And everyone is hiding behind the promoters and hiding behind the networks, when actually it comes down to the fighter and the fighter telling the manager and the promoter what they want to make happen. Of course, the networks want the fights. The networks don't want to be involved in the promoter across the street business. The networks are into putting on the best fights, so they're not the ones that's holding it up. Neither is the promoters are the ones holding it up. Of course, they do as much as they can to keep their prized possessions, but ultimately the promoters work for the fighters. And if the fighters was to demand the fights, then the fights will happen.
Bill, does it frustrate you as a fan of boxing that boxing at the professional level is much more of a business than just an actual sport?
Well, like I said, I think that it's a lot of athletes because it's an old cliche in terms of the business, and the narrative before was the fact that, you know, promoters controlled the mainstream media, you know, the outlets that you would traditionally have to go to, whether it be LA Times or New York Times or whatever. Those outlets were traditionally they had somewhat of a bias towards the promoters that they were in favor of. But now with the social media, with the, you know, guys like you and just the whole social media platform nowadays, it's impossible for fighters that really want to fight and are really driven to not get their message out. That's a testament to what the YouTubers are doing. The YouTubers are surpassing boxers because of what they're doing and what they're doing as far as promoting themselves. So if the fighters wanted to promote themselves, and if the fighters wanted to call out those fights that the fans want to see, then of course that they will get the kind of acclaim.
But you want to make this clear as it relates to anyone at 135 and some of the other names hovering around. You guys are ready, willing, and able. There's no issues with you guys. We've
never complained about being on the A side or the B side or any of those kind of things. We've never complained about making the right fight at the right kind of split whenever the time comes. We've never put any roadblocks in front of making these big fights happen.
May 29th at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, this man's son, Devin Haney, defends his title against the accomplished Jorge Linares. Out of all the fights that you guys have had, would you say that Linares is perhaps the best opponent you have faced to date?
Oh, absolutely. I want to definitely give Linares his props, you know, for standing up and calling Devin out. You know what I mean? We were in a position where we wanted to have a name like that. We wanted to make us have a statement fight. We needed a fighter that came with something, that was bringing something to the table. I think Linares is a 3-division world champion. So I mean, he has all the right. He has the hardware to back it up. He has the hand speed. You know, it's just now about going to May 29th and showing the world what a talented fighter Devin is and how much above that, you know, he is than Linares.
So your son puts on a devastating performance. I asked this question, I laid out this scenario to your son. You win this fight in emphatic fashion, and you lay out the whole choices, the options that are at play. How much longer do you stay at 35, and when is the inevitable move to 140?
Well, I mean, obviously, we want to make those big fights happen. We feel like that the 135 division is a stacked division of talented fighters, I would say, that have high profiles, because I definitely believe that there's talented fighters at 140 as well. But I think the fighters that have the biggest profiles are at 135. So as a fight fan, of course, that I am, you know what I mean, I want to give the people the fights that I would like to see. And a fight like Devin and a Teofimo Lopez fight is a fight that I'm sure the fans would want to see. That's a fight that we want. You know, okay, Tank Davis is one. You know, and Ryan Garcia is a fight that, you know, I think that the people would like to see as well.
Well, let's go through those names. As a boxing guy and as a promoter and as with an educated eye that you have, just give me your quick thoughts on each of these guys. Teofimo Lopez.
Let's say flip-flopping, making excuses, one excuse after another, in terms of, you know, 1 minute he calls out Devin, the next minute he's at 140 pounds. The next minute he's saying, what has Devin brung? He said 3 to 5 years. I mean, you've heard them all. I mean, how long do you want the interview to be?
Well, we are running out of tape. Let's go to Ryan Garcia.
God bless him. I hope that you know, he's whatever that he's going through. You know, I hope that it wasn't because of Devin.
And finally, this is a young man because I've always thought of your son as a very well-mannered, well-raised, kudos to you, Bill, young man. But when it comes to Tank Davis, there's an edginess to Devin Haney. Like, there's something there between them. Can you explain that?
Well, I mean, it's just I think it's just a competitive spirit and competitive nature in both of them. Devin, of course, shares some of the same fans that Tank shares. You know what I mean? Coming out of the Mayweather gym, Devin coming out of the Mayweather gym, and Tank being promoted by Floyd. So I mean, I think it's just very competitive with them in terms of reaching the fans and who the best fighter is. So it's like a tug of war.
But the focus right now is on May 29th, and you guys are out here in the Bay Area. What's it like being back after the pandemic?
The California hasn't opened up as much as Las Vegas has, so it gives us a chance to, really focus in on May 29th. One of those things, one of the pluses is to coming to SNAC that Victor has taught me is that you're able to get a rest at sea level. And it being in Vegas, it has kind of has a
it's a desert.
Twofold. Yeah, but it has a twofold because the elevation, you're allowed to, you can get that. You get that grit and you, that you know what I mean, being in Las Vegas, but also you're not able to sleep as sound as you're able to sleep at sea level. So Devin gets a chance to sleep well here, and train his butt off.
People talk about the placebo effect all the time. Obviously, this is physical conditioning, but do you think for your son coming here, there's a psychological effect that it makes him even more confident in what he's put in?
Well, actually, I definitely think that it plays into his psyche to come here and to rest, and working with Victor, you know what I mean, who's a proud person. He's very matter of fact, you know what I mean, and if once he believes that things are working, he's pushing it. Devin is working on it, and they chart the numbers and everything. So it's not just about just working out sporadically. It's about actually being able to chart the numbers and know that you're actually improving.
Speaking of Victor Conte, I asked this of a lot of people that work with him. What were your initial impressions of Victor? And what's the one thing in working with him as closely as you have that has surprised you about him?
Just that, you know what I mean, he's, what surprised me is the fact that he used to be in the band The Tower of Power.
He was, yes.
Yeah, so that surprised me. So I knowing that about him and then getting a chance to meet him, Victor has a lot more soul than you would think.
And Remy Korchemny seems to have a very hot, cold, love-hate relationship with your son on the track. They were going back and forth today. Give me your thoughts on Remy.
I love Remy because Remy kicks his butt on that track. You know what I mean? He's a great guy, very technical guy in terms of strength and conditioning. But when he's on the track with him, he's all business. He doesn't go easy or light on Devin, and that's what I like about him. I like guys to do their job, and Remy goes far and beyond the call of duty.
All right, so there you have it, May 29th. Bill and Devin Haney go to battle at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas on the Zone. They take on Jorge Linares. For SNAC.com, this is Steve Kim saying goodbye, everybody.